Hey guys, welcome back to The Life of Lex, a podcast where we're dying of heat exhaustion. I'm your host Lex, or Alex. Thank you for listening. Hi guys, I hope you guys are having a much better and cooler time than I am. I am honestly going to preface this and say this will probably be a little bit of a shorter podcast than you guys are used to because honestly right now I am dying of heat exhaustion. Long story short, the air conditioner in my house decided that it was going to stop working. And I do have like a little air conditioner cube thing, but I didn't want to have it going in the background while I was recording. So, yes, this may end up being a little bit shorter. For some of you guys, you're going to be like, yes, finally. For other ones of you guys, you might be a little sad, but regardless, hopefully next week it's not as hot. Um, yeah. So just to get right on into it, we'll just start off with a little housekeeping stuff as usual. First things first, I did create an Instagram. If you're not already following me over at the Life of Lex podcast, you should. That's where I, you know, update about the podcast, tell you guys when the newest episodes are dropping. If there's going to be a hiatus, I'll let you know. Which, by the way, this is actually a while from now, but around July 29th, that week, there will probably be a 2-week hiatus of the podcast because I am getting my wisdom teeth removed. And then the following week, I start school. I go back to college. So it's probably going to be about a 2-week hiatus at that period. And I know some people might say just pre-record episodes, but because of the setup of this podcast, pre-recording episodes won't really work because I do try to incorporate a lot of current events. So I will definitely talk more about that closer to the time, but just a heads up for anybody who's super invested in this podcast that there will probably be about a 2-week hiatus, which it's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a really long time, but I will be back. But this is all the way. My wisdom tooth removal surgery is August 29th, so we have a kind of a while until then. A long while, about 2 months. Yes, but please make sure to go follow me over at the Life of Lex podcast on Instagram. That is where you can keep up with me, keep up with the podcast, and anything else that's going on with me or my life. So I highly recommend going on over there to keep up. Also, please leave iTunes reviews, or Apple Podcasts, I should say. Those really not only help me, but they also help the podcast to grow. It doesn't have to be a long review. You can literally just say why you listen to the podcast, how you found the podcast, what you like about me, what you like about the podcast. If you're a weekly listener, what has kept you coming back every week. And you don't have to answer all of those. You can just answer one of them. It doesn't have to be long. Definitely please give ratings as well. I would greatly appreciate it. It really does aid the growth of the podcast. So I really do hope that you guys would be able to do that for me. That's about it. That's actually all the housekeeping stuff I have. So we're just going to get right into the show. I told you guys this week there ain't going to be no games. This podcast is probably going to be much shorter. So after a few seconds of a break, we're going to get right on into the hot takes for the week. I did forget to say thank you to everybody who is listening. I know I have a bunch of new listeners from Instagram, so I would really like to thank you guys for listening and say hello. I do hope that you guys are enjoying this podcast, and definitely thank you for checking it out. So let's just start on off with the BET Awards because, of course, that was kind of a quote unquote big event that happened this week. I feel like I can't give hot takes without talking about that. I'm gonna preface this and say 2 things. Number 1, I think BET is absolute trash. I feel like BET has gone downhill in the years. I think that BET back in the day, no, that was VH1. I was gonna say BET had some good reality shows, but that was actually VH1 that I was thinking of. I feel like VH1 has more black entertainment going on than BET has ever had, and obviously BET is not black owned, so that's clear and obvious by what is shown. I feel like BET, whoever's in charge over there at BET, Viacom, and whoever they delegated to be president of BET thinks that we want to see Baby Boy, Tyler Perry movies, Fresh Prince reruns, My Wife and Kids reruns, which I will say those are the best part of BET, the My Wife and Kids and Fresh Prince reruns, and like Friday, A Million and One Times, Tyler Perry movies. And BET had so much, and well, probably at this point it probably doesn't have that much potential because every black person literally clowns BET and knows it's a joke. But BET had potential to be so good. They could have had black reality TV. It could have had black talk shows, black cooking shows. I mean, literally everything could have been on BET, but I just wanted to take BET as a joke. The second thing is, I don't watch award shows like that. I haven't watched an award show, like sat down and watched an award show all the way through since maybe high school at the earliest, or at the latest. And so I'm not really sure, I don't really sit down and watch them. I just look on Twitter and Instagram and just kind of look at clips. For this, I kind of had it on in the background, and then like I did turn the volume on my TV maybe like midway or almost all the way through. I do remember seeing some performances, and then of course I saw clips of the good stuff on on like Instagram, like I said. So let's just talk about this thing real quick. First and foremost, enough with Wakanda, okay? I'm tired. Wakanda needs to be lowered in its grave, rest in peace, laid to rest, leave it alone. It is done. Wakanda lived a good life, but enough about Wakanda, okay? I'm tired. Chadwick is tired. Michael B. Jordan is tired. We're all tired of hearing about Wakanda. Listen, Black Panther did something amazing. I loved Black Panther. You guys all know, well, you don't. I was very excited for Black Panther, and Black Panther was amazing. It did something so great. It was really, I think, one of the first depictions of black culture, black excellence, black beauty, a movie of black people without showing black people as negative or hateful. And it was amazing. But like, this is how you can tell that BET is black owned, because like I feel like everybody by default now is making every black event about Wakanda, and I'm just like, enough is enough. Wakanda is not forever. Wakanda is done. Okay, enough Wakanda. Like, y'all played Wakanda out to the maximum. When you have the actors from the movie who are literally dead inside whenever Wakanda is mentioned, you know it's a little bit too much, okay? And like I said, Black Panther, I think, will definitely go down in history. I think Black Panther was definitely a first in its category, and it deserves that recognition. But there's so many other black cultures, African countries and cultures that could be recognized, and everybody is so quick to recognize the fake nation of Wakanda rather than actually recognizing true African cultures, and I'm just over it. So enough about Wakanda. Jamie Foxx as the host, okay, here's my thing, and part of the reason why I don't like watching award shows is because I feel like award shows are a cesspool of like forced humor and laughter. Like, I feel like most award shows are super duper awkward no matter how you slice it. I feel like award shows are extremely awkward. I feel like Jamie Foxx is fun. Like, he's a comedian. He's pretty funny, like, outside of this setting, from what I understand. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know a whole bunch about Jamie Foxx's comedy, but from what I've gathered, he seems to be pretty funny, pretty successful in what he does, like, out of here. Of course, his singing, yes, but, like, you know. I feel like this was just super awkward. Like, I feel like Jamie Foxx, it's just awkward at award shows because I feel like it's the kind of humor where you kind of like look at the person next to you and you're like, like it's kind of chuckle worthy, but it's not like, oh my goodness, I'm rolling out on the floor funny. And I just feel like every single award show host that I see does the absolute most. And it's just like a little much for me and it's just awkward to watch. So all I'm gonna say is that Jamie Foxx, it was awkward. It wasn't that funny, but I think that was just more the setup of how award shows are rather than like his talent. Performances that I loved. Oh, before that, Janelle Monáe looked beautiful. Janelle Monáe is queen. And did you guys see how her and Tessa Thompson came out that they are together? They are in a relationship. Tessa Thompson was like, yeah, if I bring a guy home, I bring a guy home. If I bring a girl home, I bring a girl home. She was like, I'm with Janae, and we didn't want to say it because we wanted to stay private, but we also wanted to kind of come out so we can help others and show that. And I was like, yes. I mean, we all already knew. Did y'all see Pink? Did you see Pink? Did you see the video? Did you see Dirty Computer? Like, we all know they was together. But still, I'm so happy for them, and they are adorable together. But yes, Miss Janae did it up. Did you see that dress? Pride? Like, girl, yes, I'm here for it. Chloe and Halle also looked beautiful as usual. I think they're so gorgeous. The BET Awards haven't been like real poppin' since Beyonce stopped going, okay? If Beyonce showed up at that shit, I promise you the BET Awards would be back in style again. So performances I liked, and I will say I did not see every performance like live. First off, Meek Mill, I will say I've really been kind of liking these performances that show like kind of what's going on in the country, the state of the country, these kind of deeper social justice, kind of political statement type performances. I do like them. I think if they are received correctly, they really can make a statement. And I also, you guys know, I love when black artists, especially black male rappers, use their privilege to speak out because I feel like that category of black people does not typically speak out. So I was really glad to have a performance like that. Of course, Meek Mill was shouting because who would Meek Mill be if he wasn't shouting, right? I love her voice. She is a great singer and she sounds good live, which is such, somebody is a good singer when they sound good live. Because there's plenty of people who sound great in the studio and they have auto-tune and all of these other things helping them out. But when somebody can get on that stage and sing live and sound so good, I mean, oh my God, I was with it. She sounded fantastic. So, I will say that I preferred Focus over Best Part. I'm gonna be honest. I know everybody is like, Best Part is the most beautiful song ever. And, I mean, it's a nice song. I will give it. It is a nice song. It's great. I do love Daniel Caesar. I will say his album was fantastic. But I actually like Rather Be. If you're an actual Her fan, like I am a Her fan. I love her. She's one of my favorite. Her little album is probably in my top 25 albums. I love her. Rather Be is actually the song that I want played in my wedding. I know everybody's like, oh my God, I want Best Part played at my wedding. Nah, man, I want Rather Be. So I don't know. I just feel like Best Part like doesn't do it for me. Like, I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like I like that. I don't know. I just don't feel like I like something about the song doesn't do it for me. But Focus, yes, I love that song. So I loved her. Nicki, I know people gon' whatever. Y'all either gonna agree with me on Nicki or you're gonna be like, bitch, what the fuck? I've already learned that you're either a Nicki fan or you're like really, really, like I've learned there's two types of people. There's people who love Nicki, are like the biggest Nicki fans, and then there are people who hate Nicki, and there's really nothing in between, and that's fine. you're either a Nicki fan or you're not a Nicki fan. I love Nicki. I know that people don't like her now because she sings and it's not all rap and da 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 da, and that's understandable. But I actually did not like Nicki when she was during the like crazy, I don't even know, like her Pink Friday phase where she was on some green lipstick and the big ass pink ass curly wig, which that's not even the problem. The curly wig wasn't even the problem. Neither was the green lipstick. It was just the way that she acted during that time. I was not with it. Although I am all for like carefree black women, but I don't know. That Nicki was too much for me. But now since Nicki like kind of cleaned her act up and she, I like her. I like her a lot. I like her work. I think her singing and her rapping is good. And I think she does a good mix. Like, I feel like she really does do a good mix. And of course, like now that she's more mainstream, she has to be more mainstream. And, that's being pop. Like, I mean, hey, it is what it is. And Janelle Monáe's performance was fantastic. Honestly, I watched Dirty Computer the other day, the movie she released with the CD for the first time the other day, and it was an enigma. Like, it was so good. I was like, okay, Janelle, get it, girl. Like, she really did it up on that. So if you haven't seen Dirty Computer, the movie, you guys should go check that out. But that's really all I gotta say about the BET Awards. As I said, I think that, I watched it through social media for the most part, and that's kind of my energy on the BET Awards. Alrighty, next big things, KTSE by Teyana Taylor and Scorpion by Drake. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. We're going to start with Scorpion. So, I'm going to say this. My favorite Drake album of all time is Take Care, and I, to this day, have not found a Drake album that is as good as Take Care. It just hasn't happened, okay? I think that I love R&B, soft Drake, in my feelings Drake, crying Drake, that's the Drake I love. And honestly, when you had like Practice, The Real Her, what else was on that one? I don't even remember right now off the top of my head. Songs aren't coming to me, but those were all on Take Care, okay? Marvin's Room, like that was the Drake that I loved. That was the best Drake out there. Ever since then, I feel like Drake has been okay. He's had some bangers, and but I still feel like Drake has tried to do some things with his sound that I just was not with. And if you saw on this album, I know it was on Apple Music. I don't have like Spotify or anything, so I'm not sure if you guys saw it. But on Apple Music, did you guys read the album description? Go back and read the album description if you haven't, okay? But I will say, when I first listened to Scorpion, I was like, this is okay. I mean, there's some bangers. There's a few songs that I could see being bangers. But when I listen to it again, I actually really like it. I actually am a pretty big fan of Scorpion. I think this is Drake's best work of late. Like, I really do think that for Drake's recent works, this is definitely one of the better ones, okay? I think for number one, Mans didn't try to be Jamaican, okay? I'm tired of whatever Drake was trying to put on with being Jamaican. Like, sir, you're from Toronto, and if you don't want to claim Toronto, your father's from Memphis. Like, you ain't got no Jamaican blood in you as far as we know, okay? But this was really good. I think 8 out of 10. What is it called? Mob Ties. Okay, how did Mans get Michael Jackson on the album? Like, okay, is he in Cuba with Tupac? Like, is that what this is? I'm just trying to figure out how he has Michael Jackson on there, because that song's actually really good, though. I like that song a lot. And the song right after it, too, All Night. I really like that one. I actually think that I found myself kind of liking the rap side more than the R&B side, which is crazy because I don't typically like rap Drake like that. But overall, I'm gonna give Scorpion like a 7.5 out of 10, maybe an 8. 7.5 to 8 out of 10. I think that it was pretty good. I think that it's one of those albums that you're definitely going to be like bumping in your car and be like, okay. Because I definitely know that when I listened to it on headphones for the first time, I was like, okay, this is fine. But when I bumped it on my speakers, I was like, hold up, this is actually good. Wait, like, I think it's like really bumpable music. Like, I don't necessarily know that it's like great music just for sitting there and listening to for most of it. But I think it's really good music to have blaring on speakers. I think that is really good. So, all right, Drake, I'm going to give it to you. This was a good one. I definitely still think that my favorite Drake work is Take Care and then Views. But this is definitely coming in a third because I hated More Life. I hated More Life. I only liked 4 songs total on that entire thing. So this is definitely better than More Life for sure. Alrighty, let's talk about Teyana, KTSE. Let's all take a little bit of a deep breath because I don't know about y'all, but I was very, very excited for this album. Like, very, very excited. I was highly anticipating it. I was ready. Seriously, I was ready for this album. Like, I wanted a good Teyana album. I don't know if you guys know, but Teyana Taylor has not released an album since 2014. We are in 2018 now, so it has been about 4 years, actually probably more than 4 years, or right around 4 years, since Teyana has released an album. And I think we were all, like Teyana fans anyways, were highly anticipating this. A lot of people were like, Teyana makes music? Like, I even know like my sister was like, Teyana Taylor makes music? I was like, yeah. Like, it's pretty bad if you want to be an artist and people have no idea that you even make music because you really only released one album, your debut album, and then you disappeared for 4 years. Not great. I know she was with Interscope and now she's with Good Music, and all right, listen, I'm going to preface this and say it was a good album, okay? It was a fine album. Teyana is very talented, so I feel like regardless of what is done with her sound, she has a beautiful voice, and that will always carry her. And so I think that's her saving grace, is that her voice is beautiful. But you can tell that this is a Kanye produced album. You can tell that this is produced by Good Music. First and foremost, the album was late, which I think is so disrespectful of Kanye and the label. I think that Kanye released Pusha T's album, he released his album, he released the Cudi album with him. And all of those albums seem to be on time, but shockingly, the only woman on the label, from what I understand, her album was late. Coincidence or not, I just think that's so disrespectful of Kanye. It looks so unprofessional on Teyana's part, but it's not even her fault. And I just feel like for someone like Teyana, who's clearly trying to come back into the music game, and she's still kind of building her way in the music game, because she really only released one album. I mean, she has some mixtapes, but for the most part, she only really has one album on like a label. So I just feel like she needs to be as professional as possible. And for Kanye to just handle her album so carelessly and so recklessly is just a shame, in my opinion. But, yeah, so I believe Teyana was with Interscope, and now she is with Good Music. Obviously, you guys know she worked on Fade, with Kanye's song Fade, so that's probably how she got in with Good Music, I'm assuming, or maybe she got on Fade after she got on with Good Music. But whatever the case may be, she's now on Good Music, and okay, I'm gonna be honest, I expected better from Teyana. 7 is one of my all-time favorite albums. That top 25 albums list that I've mentioned, Teyana's album 7 is on there as well. Take Care by Drake is also on there. And hers album that is on, okay. Anyways, yes, 7 was one of my favorites albums. I thought it was so well produced. I thought it was so well done. And I was so excited to listen to 7. I thought it was great work. And so when I listened to this, I was ready. I was like, okay, Teyana, listen, I don't think that this style does not fit Teyana. I don't think it fits her music. I think that Kanye loves to do a lot of samples. He loves to kind of put a lot of gospel music in things. And okay, it's been decent for his sound, I guess. We've kind of, at this point, gotten used to hearing Kanye do this. So I guess it's okay. I don't listen to Kanye, but whatever. The last album I listened to by Kanye was The Life of Pablo, so I don't even know what Kanye's up to with his music. But I guess we've gotten kind of used to hearing Kanye add gospel music. He loves sampling things, and I feel like for Teyana, we have been used to hearing her more in a pop R&B type of setting rather than this setting. And if I'm being honest, I just don't think this album showcased her talent. When I was listening to a lot of these songs, I was like, what is this? Like, and it doesn't, like, I want to make it, like, clear, it doesn't sound bad because Teyana has a very beautiful voice, but I just think that this is not Teyana's style. Like, I feel like they tried to make something happen with it that really didn't happen. And I feel like, honestly, outside of like Rose in Harlem and No Manners, I kind of felt like the other songs just were boring. I felt like they tried to make like a Kanye-esque thing go on there. And like I said, you can tell that this is heavily Kanye produced. And I just wasn't feeling it, okay? For Teyana's, return to music after 4 years, I was expecting something so much better. I'm not saying, obviously, that it was going to be the exact same thing as Seven, but I was still expecting something that was going to definitely be something to remember. And I know that outside of those two songs, I'm not going to remember this like that as much as I want to. Also, it only had 7 songs, which I read or heard somewhere that Kanye, only wanted to release 6 or 7 songs on each of these albums. And I think Teyana's has 1 extra, so hers might have 8. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I just feel like for us waiting for 4 years, I hope maybe this isn't the album and it's just a project to get us kind of back into Teyana's music. But I certainly hope that Teyana is not going to try this style again. As I said, it's not bad. I don't want to make it seem bad. But if I were Teyana, I would leave Good Music and find another label because I just feel like this isn't her. Like, I feel like it sounds like they tried to make something happen that didn't happen, and I feel like because of that this wasn't as good as it could have been. So I'm gonna give KTSE, Keep That Same Energy, I'm gonna give that about a 6.5 out of 10 because it was good. It had a few bops, but overall I feel like it was just kind of, it didn't impress me. It didn't impress me the way that I thought it was gonna impress me. And alrighty. Well, the Oscars are now addressing Oscars So White. As you guys know, that's been a trending theme for a few years now. Oscars So White. The whole Academy is basically older white males. So they added 928 new members to the Academy, half of which are women, and a third of those are people of color. So that might be interesting for people who like highly care about like Oscar awards and stuff like that. You may see some variety now in who is being nominated. And of course, in any event, I do think that things like this are great because there's so much Black talent that goes unnoticed. And I do hope that now we can see more Black people and more people of color in general getting recognized and getting awards and getting that recognition. Terry Crews spoke out this week about his assault. I will trigger warning this. I am going to be talking a little bit about like sexual assault and stuff. Not like in detail, but just the whole Terry Crews situation. I'm sure you guys have seen it all over the internet. And so if you are sensitive to this, then I would fast forward through this just a little bit. But yeah, Terry Crews basically spoke out in court this week about why he didn't really fight back during his sexual assault. Basically saying, the gist of it was that he was saying that everybody would have expected him to fight back being a larger Black man. And he just felt that that wouldn't have been a very appropriate situation. Many black men have been fixing their mouth on the internet to call Terry Crews a bitch, to call him weak, to call him this and that and the next thing. And it's actually been quite disgusting to be, especially on Twitter, to see just the response that black men have been having to this, because it's very funny that a lot of you guys are always like, well, men get raped too and men get this too. And I'm not negating that, because I'm the first person to say that men get raped and men get touched inappropriately and all of these things. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't just happen to women. And yes, in many events, it does get kind of overshadowed in men, because there's the stigma that men should be tough and men should be this and men should be that. So they just, people look at it differently. However, when you finally have a man who is speaking out against this, a man who's literally sitting here and saying, yeah, this happens to men, then you guys are sitting here and calling him weak and calling him this and calling him that. And it's so embarrassing, because Terry Crews is very strong for doing this. Like I said, there's this stigmatization that black men should be tough and strong. And I think especially with that stigma I think as a man in general, as a woman, as anybody, it's hard to come out with that. I think as a man, it's hard to come out because people are like, that's not true. Like, what do you mean that happened? So to have that happening, and then on top of that, to have a black man where it's, obviously the stigma is that black men are tough and black men, are so masculine and da 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 da. I just think it's very interesting that the first people that were really clowning him are black men. I'm just not understanding. And this is why I say it's like, y'all are some fake activists, because you'll sit here all day talking about this happens to black men too, this happens to black men too. And then the minute that a black man is speaking out, you guys are sitting here and undermining him. And I feel like this is what's frustrating, is because it's clear that you guys don't actually care to be activists. You just care to speak out against black women and make us look bad. So Terry Crews, I love you. Nobody go see Expendables 4 because he left because the director was being inappropriate. And so we're not supporting Expendables 4, but whatever Terry Crews' next movie is, let me know, because I'm definitely going to be supporting. Representative Joe Crowley of New York lost to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She's a Democratic socialist and activist from the Bronx. And I was so excited to see this, because apparently Representative Joe Crowley is like really, really big out there in New York. I don't live in New York, so I have no idea. But apparently he's really big out there. And for this socialist, she was a socialist. She ran a pretty, like, a grassroots campaign, and she won, which is huge, I feel like. She's 29 years old. She's an activist. Of course, she's a person of color. So that's really exciting, I feel like, to see people in these roles. There's been many black people who have been stepping up and coming into, government positions in their state. And I think that's so great to take over these roles, because I think the first kind of catalyst of change is to really take on these roles and speak out for these communities. So I am really excited for New York. I'm really excited to see what she's gonna do, and I think that's amazing. Okay, so you guys heard the story this week of a white woman calling the police on a black girl who was selling water. I believe it was a black girl. She wanted to go to Disney, I believe, and so she was selling water in front of, like, I don't even know, maybe a school or something. And she called the police. And this white woman, as she's getting recorded, she kind of ducks behind a bush or something as she sees she's getting recorded. And later on, she kind of came out and said that she faked calling the police, which, what? And I'm just tired. The most suburban white, the most middle class to upper middle class suburban white thing in the entire world is selling lemonade, like having a lemonade stand. That is like such a big thing. that is such a big thing for suburban white kids. You see it on movies, you see it outside, you walk down the street and white kids are selling lemonade, and all of a sudden the police need to be called on this black girl because she doesn't have a permit. I'm like, it's just so ridiculous. You can't do anything while black. You can't be a kid and do like regular stuff. You can't do anything without some kind of white person exhausting their quote unquote power, feeling threatened, and calling the police on us. And I, for one, am fucking tired. I'm tired of being black and being looked at as a subhuman. I'm just tired of seeing things like this happen. It's just such a shame. So, to that girl, I hope she is okay, because it's too much. It gets to be too much. Can somebody answer why Hollywood only thinks there's 5 black actors and actresses? I'm tired because, listen, I love Zendaya, okay? And you know what? Let me take Zendaya out of it, because Zendaya wasn't even in that many movies like that, taking the roles of black, dark-skinned women. And Zendaya is like the biggest advocate ever for us, and she hasn't taken roles from dark-skinned women. So shout out Zendaya, I love you if, you're not listening to me. But why do they love casting like Amandla? I mean, have you guys seen The Hate U Give? The main character in that book is a dark-skinned girl, and somehow Amandla Stenberg, and you guys already, I don't like Amandla Stenberg no more. Okay, I've canceled sis for a long time now, okay? But why do they love casting her in like everything? I just feel like there's so many dark-skinned actresses who are trying to get out there, and yet they still continue to cast the same 5 light-skinned actresses. I'm over it. If a book says that someone is dark-skinned, why would you cast a light-skinned person? Like, I just don't understand. Like, as if there's not more actresses out there. Oh, man. Dark-skinned women, we will get our day. We will have our day one day, okay? We will have our day. Just wait on it. And last but not least, 2 things. Number 1, a judge in San Diego determined that all children who have been detained in detainment centers must be let go. Obviously, that was just like one judge in San Diego, and I guess they mean in like detainment centers in that area. So, I mean, it's a step in the right direction, but there's still a long ways to go with that whole situation, and it's just heartbreaking. I already got like literally like fired up on my last podcast about it, so I'm trying not to get too fired up right now because I'm like so hot. All right. Yeah, I think that's kind of all of the current events for the week. So after a quick pause, we are going to have our life lesson for the week. Hey guys, welcome back. So this week's life lesson is going to be about standing up for yourself, because I feel like this is the biggest thing that I've learned to start doing in my life, is kind of standing up for myself and also standing in my truth. And I think it's just such an important part of self-growth and a part of true happiness, like kind of living as your highest self, is really learning to stand up for yourself. I was one of those people who never, ever used to stand up for myself when I was younger, and I would always make excuses that, like, I don't care, I'm not going to waste my time on them. But in reality, I was always just too scared to stand up for myself, and I made it a goal to kind of, once I, like, got to college and, like, stuff like that, that I was going to really work on kind of standing up for myself, being real, being honest, and just really paying attention to what I want and need and deserve. And, the one thing I've learned about standing up for yourself, and as I'm still kind of learning to stand up for myself, the one thing I've kind of learned is that just because you're standing up for yourself and you're proud of yourself doesn't mean that everyone else is going to be proud of yourself. In fact, more times than not, if you're standing up to somebody, they're actually going to be upset. And I think a lot of people around me were kind of used to walking all over me, and, whatever. I can't really blame them. Well, I mean, I can blame them, but I also have to blame myself for letting that happen. And So, as I've kind of realized that a lot of people don't love it when you stand up for yourself because you're speaking out against them. And it makes it hard sometimes to stand up for yourself when you see people around you, like, getting angry or getting mad or kind of not really with it. But honestly, as I've stated before, it is really, really crucial to stand up for yourself, to stand up for what you deserve. Because once you start saying what you deserve, and it's like you'll manifest it. Okay, you'll manifest all of those things you'll deserve. Don't let people walk all over you. Don't let people treat you badly, especially Black women. Like, the fuck, people always walk all over us and treat us so badly, and it's just enough. It's not really worth it to, like, let people treat us that way. So, I mean, my life lesson is to stand up for yourself, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's to your family. Don't let people steamroll all over you, because you are worth it. And it's not fair that you're squashing yourself and short selling yourself and whatever the case may be just to please others, when in reality the only person that is going to be living with you for the rest of your life is yourself. So that's my lesson of the week, is that you should really learn to stand up for yourself. I've done it. It's not easy. Like, I will not sit here and tell you guys that it is easy to stand up for yourself, but it's worth it. It's very much worth it. And as I'm still learning to do it, I've been feeling so good. I've been feeling so good that I don't let people tell me who I am anymore. I don't let people control me. I control myself. I control my destiny. And that's powerful and important. So that's it. Last but not least, we're going to talk about a kind of favorite of the week. I know I've kind of dropped the favorites. It's not because I don't have favorites. It's just because these podcasts run so long. I said this was going to be shorter, and it's still 41 minutes long. So, okay. This week's is going to be Movie Pass. It is a Black-owned company where you pay $9.99 a month, and you can see one movie a day, which is amazing. I am always for supporting Black business, and I think this is a great one, especially for my movie lovers out there. It's at participating theaters, but AMC, Landmark, and Regal are participating, which are 3 huge theater chains. So, I mean, most likely you probably have one of those around you. I would highly recommend checking it out. It is called Movie Pass, and it is Black-owned. But I want to thank you guys so much for listening this week. I said this was going to be shorter, and as you guys know, I talk forever, so that was me bluffing. But I hope you guys enjoy your week. I hope you guys end up having a great week. And I will talk to you guys later. Please remember to comment and subscribe, and review on Apple Podcasts. And definitely, please make sure to go follow me on Instagram at The Life of Lex Podcast. You can stream the audio to this podcast on YouTube if you search up Alexandra Addison. And don't forget to visit the podcast website at thelifeoflex.libsyn.com for past episodes and links to streaming services. I will see you guys next week. Have a fantastic week. Bye.